Welcome back to One Shot, One Kill, guys. Today I'm bringing you inside my shop and introducing you to a piece of equipment that I use day in and day out. Company who produces this piece of equipment is Splatmat. Now, they're based out of Boulder, Colorado, and what they focus on is producing several pieces of equipment, but the main ones that I use daily for my particular needs are the cleaning mats, as well as the pistol rack and the rifle rack. Okay, so we're going to review those in detail, but first I want to introduce you to what the product is and what their claim to fame is. Okay, these cleaning mats are actually made out of polyurea. Okay, and that's important because number one, it's durable. Number two, it's easy to clean, and most importantly for me is that they're solvent resistant. Okay, so I've been able to take brake parts cleaner to this stuff without degrading the integrity of the product. These are actually really nice for me to clean and work on my guns, as well as car parts, right? So they come in different sizes. They come in kind of this small size, medium size, and large size. Here's their medium size compared to the small size, right there. And they have a large size, which is a bit larger than this, obviously. And what I use that large one for is to cover the entire left side of my workbench here. Okay, so this medium one goes on this side of my workbench, and again, it just extends the coverage of my work surface and workspace, right? So, but I've got them all here just to kind of show you the size differences. Now, one thing that's really cool about them is that they're textured, all right? Number one, it's the American flag design, which I find to be absolutely, it's just kick-ass, okay? But at first glance, I was kind of looking at this stuff and thinking to myself, wow, that's pretty, pretty well textured. I don't know how you did that, but it turns out that, the rig that they use for pouring of the polyurea, to form these mats and to create these mats, they've taken an American flag, an actual embroidered American flag, to create this pattern, right? So now not only do you get the American flag pattern, but now you have it textured, okay? And the texture is important for me because when I'm working with small gun parts, springs, roll pins, you name it, it keeps the stuff from rolling off of your workspace, right? So if I throw this on here, maybe some bullets, whatever the case may be, all the small stuff that I throw on my mat, it will not fall off of the, my work platform. So that's important for me. And then overall, just aesthetically, it just really kind of gives my workspace a little bit of a makeover, right? So it's really cool. Got American flags laying all over the place. And they're, obviously solvent resistant, easy to clean, made in the USA. So doesn't get much better than that. So another piece of equipment that they've actually started manufacturing and producing is this pistol rack. Okay, now this pistol rack, and I think it's important to mention that when I first visited their shop, they introduced me to the prototype of the pistol rack, and they asked for feedback. Right? They said, hey, what would you think, what can make this better? Right? And first things first, I used it and I noticed that, the pistols would rock because you have these kind of rounded out, horseshoe style portions that would support the front end or the muzzle end of your pistols. And then you have these cutouts here on the prototype that just weren't accommodating for different size pistols. So taking that feedback into consideration and obviously experimenting with their own firearms at home, they went ahead and fine-tuned that gun stand, that pistol rack. And they turned it into this bad boy that can hold different size firearms all the way down to micro compacts, as well as full-size firearms. Okay? So what you see here is the final product, and I want to angle it so that all these firearms are clear. But what I want to demonstrate on camera here is that not only does it accommodate full-size firearms, but also the micro compact. So in this case, I've got a P365. You can see how small that frame is. I mean, for those of you that own it, you know how small this pistol is and that frame is. So you can install that. Those former cutouts, the U cutouts, were actually modified to V. And what that does is that accommodates different different width muzzle ends, right? So it's able to accommodate different widths instead of just allowing them to rock. So now it really holds them in place. Okay. And then also worth mentioning, in my Smith & Wesson, on my Smith & Wesson M&P 40, I've got the TLR1 installed here, and it actually accommodates that no problem. So now what that does is that gives me a place to actually store my firearms while I'm working on 2-3 of them at a time. If I'm cleaning them and I've got a little bit of a rotation set up, right, left to right, whatever the case may be, it just gives me somewhere to put the final product, right, the cleaned firearms. Not to mention, for those of you that follow our Instagram page and our Facebook and Twitter, you name it, I'm obviously a big fan of photography. So, staging these bad boys and, while I'm cycling through different firearms to photograph them, it gives me a safe place to actually store the guns, right? So, really neat product. It also holds all of the magazines for my firearms in this compartment down below. So once again, one-stop shop, right? Not only can I place the firearms there, but I can also store the magazines. Another cool piece of equipment that they offer, and that it comes in really handy, not only for here at home, cleaning the firearms, maintaining them, working on them, upgrading them, so on and so forth, is their rifle rack. Okay, now the rifle rack can hold up to 3 rifles. Okay, and these are 3 AR-15s that I'm 2 of them I actually play around with, and then I just put this upper receiver, this barreled upper receiver here, just to kind of display and show you guys how versatile the stand is, right? On that specific upper receiver, I'm just gonna kind of modify and play around with the hand guards. I might do a little bit of upgrades with the bolt carrier group, so on and so forth. But again, while I'm working with this stuff, right? While I'm working on these items, it gives me a place to, I can do what I got to do with the piece of equipment. Once I'm done with it, I'll throw it back on the rack. These are accommodating, and I can actually extend the buttstock and still store them. However, whatever you need to do to store them on here, right? And it'll actually accept them, magazine well in, or optics in. So for most traditional, standard red dots, so on and so forth, it'll accommodate them and it'll hold them no problem. Right, get you a better look at the actual rack. What you can see here is that you have room for 3 rifles. Okay, so, and you can go optics in, right, stash that there, or you can go optics out or magazine well in, whatever you want to do. Okay, so it comes in handy once again when I'm working on different firearms. In this case, rifles. Gives me one place to actually store them all. All right, and it'll hold them all in place. Okay, so I can actually, normally what I do is stash it over on the corner of my workbench, and then I'm kind of bringing one down at a time and cleaning them, and then just kind of putting them back on the rack. And it keeps them off of the actual flat work surface, so that I've got more room to continue working on everything else that I'm working on, whether it's handguns, rifles, you name it. Okay, same type of material. It's the actual same material. It's polyurea. These stands are coated in polyurea. Makes them easy to clean. So if you got if you overly drench your guns while you're cleaning them, perfectly fine. You want to give them somewhere to stand, those parts and components to sit while they're while you let the solvent work its magic. You can just leave them on the actual mats themselves, or feel comfortable to put them on the racks, because again, it's solvent resistant, right? Polyurea coatings are solvent resistant and they're easy to clean. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. But once again, for me personally, it's something that I use daily, because I do like to come out here and photograph pieces of equipment for different companies, and then obviously just some great content for Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the works. But then also when I'm cleaning them, it's extremely efficient, because these stands come in really handy. It just gives me somewhere to store the stuff, right? So it's not actually in my way, and I can really maximize the use of my flat surfaces. Okay. Okay, so storing this back over here. And once again, so you can see, you know, I store that over on that corner. Gives me, the pistol rack gives me somewhere to stash my pistols while I'm cleaning, and I have all my workspace available once again, right? If I didn't have these racks, I'd kind of be fumbling around with, okay, where do I put this pistol? Everything would be laying on the flat work surface, and that just kind of takes up a lot of space. Large footprint with 3 rifles, you know, 4 pistols that I'm working with, whatever the case may be. Now the argument can be made that you can work on 1 pistol at a time. Sure, of course, absolutely. Completely up to you. Me personally, I like to just get them all out here, and if I'm going to work on firearms, I might as well just work on the 2 or 3 or 4 that I'm going to be working on, you know, at once, and just kind of get it all done and over with. Okay, so I want to go back to who Splatmat is. All right, they're a family-owned business. They're in Boulder, Colorado. Okay, their website www.splatmat.com. I'll go ahead and put that down in the description below. All right, you'll be able to find not only the cleaning mats, okay, you're gonna find the different sizes, different colors, right? All of the options, okay? And they do a lot of custom work, okay? They do a lot of custom work. So give them a shout. They're willing to listen and actually get you what you're looking for specifically. So for example, if you have a custom logo, like your company logo or something, and you would like for that to be incorporated into like a cleaning mat, right? Like this, they have that capability in-house, and they'll be able to produce it. They are firing on all cylinders, so they are shipping product out right now without issue. Okay, so if you're looking for some of these mats, I highly recommend them. Once again, for all the reasons I just mentioned, easy to clean, polyurea, solvent resistant. You're not going to damage these whatsoever with any of the, you know, I can once again throw brake cleaner, brake parts cleaner on here, and even wipe them off, no problem. So that's really cool. They're flexible, so they'll easily roll out on whatever work surface you're looking for. This small one I like to take on my other slimmer, kind of not as deep workbench, and that's where I kind of do some of the smaller maintenance type stuff, right? If I'm breaking apart a trigger assembly and kind of working on those pieces, that's what I use the small mat for. So once again, family-owned company based out of Boulder, Colorado, capable of making custom mats for you, cleaning mats, barbecue mats, pet mats, right? So if you got an area where you got some pets that, you know, get a little bit messy when they're drinking their water and eating their food, then they got different size mats that can accommodate, you know, those needs. Now, to recap on the pistol racks and the rifle racks, not only do they come in handy and, you know, I use them day in and day out here in the shop, but they also come in handy at the range. So, for example, let's call this downrange over here, right? If I'm trying to introduce, or if I'm introducing somebody to different size firearms, and I say, hey, we're going to introduce you to a micro compact and then a, you know, CCP-10C, kind of between a full size and a compact size, right? I have somewhere for the students and, you know, new gun owners that are looking to get familiar with these platforms. I give them somewhere to actually store the gun, right? So they approach the bench, they start firing, you know, I introduce them to the actual firing procedure, so on and so forth. And then it gives them somewhere to comfortably, right, without sacrificing that proper pistol grip, I give them somewhere to stash the firearms, right? Grab full size, just put it back on the rack. Aim, downrange, just step away from it, all right? And then we can discuss from there. So obviously a useful tool at the range, especially if you're, you know, involved with trying to introduce people to firearms and, you know, shooting these firearms. So once again, different pieces of equipment, right? All made of polyurea, all right, or coated in polyurea. And what that does is just gives you an easy cleaning surface, a solvent resistant surface. They even have kids mats. Now, those mats are specifically designed for, you know, kids to play around with those, you know, markers that wipe right off. Okay, so feel free to visit that website, www.splatmat.com, and you'll be able to get a good image and a good description as to what those kids mats are intended for. Obviously, you know, educational purposes and just entertainment purposes for children, right? So check those out. Okay, plenty more coming downrange from Splatmat, okay, and splatmat.com. So stay tuned for all of those updates. I look forward to getting my hands on some more equipment, and just kind of photograph this stuff as we continue on, exposing pieces of equipment that might come in handy for you at home as well. I highly recommend these. www.splatmat.com. Cleaning mats, pistol racks, rifle racks, children's activity mats, barbecue mats to throw under your grill, keep all that grease and whatever the hell else is coming down from staining your decks, your concrete, your floors, whatever it may be, right? And then mats for kind of those high traffic areas with your pets. Okay, so keep all that in mind. Visit the website. Once again, down in the description below, you'll find that link. Okay, and lastly, we want to thank you once again for checking out One Shot, One Kill. We hope that you found this information valuable. Go ahead and hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Also, click that subscribe button, okay? Stay tuned for plenty more from us, One Shot, One Kill.